He was the Every Frog, the amphibian that felt all the things we felt.
Wee, coggers. There he is. Whoa, and the other one's going.
Pepe the Frog.
I mean, that's just what I imagine when I imagine like the default Twitch viewer. If you close your eyes and imagine a Twitch viewer, it's just, to me, a Peebo or Pepe comes to mind.
I want to see some Pepe pains in the chat. I want to see some Pepe pains in the chat.
Remember Pepe the Frog? This is him now.
Feels good, man.
Sites and gaming communities started to embrace Pepe as online games and streaming continued to explode in popularity. The cultural mainstream. Posts by celebrities like Katy Perry and Nicki Minaj exposed even more people to Pepe, whether he felt good, bad, or generally becoming a kind of Pepe PogChamp, a way to let Pepe express your excitement.
Wee, coggers. There we go. There he is. Whoa, and the other one's going. As the other one's turned.
And Monka S in particular, clearly an expression of anxiety or nervousness, was a perfect fit on Twitch, where the audience often watched with bated breath as their favorite streamer strolled into the unknown. On Twitch, Pepe basically stayed in that pre-2014 state, but it wasn't like that everywhere. In 2018, the Overwatch League explicitly told players not to post about the cartoon frog on social media. They also timed out users for using Pepe-related emotes from their Overwatch, StarCraft, and Heroes of the Storm channels, including those from content creators that played their games. The ban came to light after a tweet by then Overwatch League player Jay Sinatra Wong. Esports community member Rod Slasher Breslau then revealed that Blizzard had previously banned fan signs with Pepe. Was to turn Pepe into something the public couldn't accept. A now suspended Twitter user told the Daily Beast that associating Pepe with white nationalist ideology had been an intentional goal. And though later accounts would say that the website had been trolled, the article was picked up by Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign as part of their claim that Pepe had become affiliated with white supremacy. That happened because Pepe had also started to become affiliated with Donald J. Trump's presidential campaign after he tweeted a picture of the frog in October 2015, sporting his signature hairstyle. And while some supporters began to embrace the Pepe meme as part of a pro-Trump outlook, others went darker, adding trappings of Nazism or anti-Semitism to images of Pepe. Whether the users quoted in the Daily Beast article or Twitter users adding frog emojis to their handles were really just trying to troll the media or not, by the time of Donald Trump's inauguration, there were real self-avowed white supremacists like Richard B. Spencer who wore Pepe with pride.
It's Pepe's become kind of a symbol.
It all culminated in the addition of Pepe the Frog to the Anti-Defamation League's hate symbols database in fall 2016.
Meet Pepe the Frog. He's the latest symbol to be added to the Anti-Defamation League's hate symbols database. Yes, Pepe, who has also come to be known as Sad Frog,
stick it in deeper.
The swastika and 14 words.
But even the ADL's page on Pepe said that the vast majority of users were not posting racist or anti-Semitic Pepes, and that context was everything. So while many understandably turned away from Pepe after the ADL's declaration, Pepe was more heavily ingrained in some communities than others. At the same time, Pepe creator Matt Fury was trying to regain control of his creation, one that had clearly heavily diverged from his initial incarnation. In over the course of the last 365,
Imagine when I imagine like the default Twitch.
The real white supremacists who now terrorists who attack our mosques, our synagogues, our Walmarts. Going to these websites, if you're an outsider, can be kind of dizzying. The look of it resembles the internet of more than a decade ago. And even if you're used to seeing offensive content pop up on Twitter or Facebook, it's not even close to what's being posted and allowed up on 4chan and 8chan. 4chan came first, and it allowed users to anonymously post whatever. And that whatever quickly became pretty much anything offensive you can think of. Go to the political board and you'll find racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, misogyny. It's all there. But some things were too much even for 4chan. And so a new company formed a news site, and 8chan was born that promised even less moderation. They call themselves the darkest reaches of the internet, and they're not wrong. And for years, people on those sites said that the racism that they posted was basically just a game, where the winner is whoever posts the most offensive thing possible. Sure, there's racism, they say, but it's ironic racism, all part of what they call posting. Well, it's not a game. Here's why they're wrong. If shock value is the currency of a certain strain of the internet, then think of 4chan and 8chan kind of like a central bank. They print the worst kind of hate and violence imaginable, which then gets filtered throughout the wider internet, through Reddit, through Twitter, through people like conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, who admitted in a deposition that he uses it as a, quote, source for InfoWars.
What I'm asking is, do you or do you not know 4chan was your source?
I believe it was one of the places that put it up.
Looking back, 4chan didn't start out as a white nationalist breeding ground that it's become. It has several different channels about pages that are about art and hobbies, not all politics.
When 4chan began, more than 15 years ago, it wasn't really the place that it is now. It was a place where trolls and pranksters and people who were deep into internet culture hung out. And as such, it was really, really influential in the development of internet culture, in the development of memes, in the development of trolling raids. Over time, the political power of the hive mind of 4chan became apparent, not only to people on the board, but to people who were coming from outside and who had different agendas. And so, in the last, I guess, 3 or 4 years, one particular bit of 4chan has come to be largely associated with the alt-right and with white supremacy.
Go to 4chan and you'll find memes right out of Stormfront. Racist, anti-Semitic, sexist trash. But when someone posts racism for the lulz side by side with people who are so committed to the cause as to shoot up a mosque, the line between the two stops being a line. Racism is racism, white nationalism is white nationalism. Take the OK hand symbol, the symbol that has become associated with white nationalists. The Southern Poverty Law Center says that white nationalists started it, but that it gained new life on 4chan as a troll. One 4chan user said that everyone should, quote, flood Twitter and other social media websites, claiming that the OK hand sign is a symbol of white supremacy. The troll was a common 4chan tactic. Trick a gullible media and liberals into declaring something innocuous to be racist, and with each hoax that the media falls for, its credibility takes a blow. All a hoax, right? Well, tell that to the real white supremacists who now flash the OK symbol. You can find it here, made by the Christchurch mosque shooter in court. The OK hand symbol might have started out as this ironic troll to fool a gullible media, but it ended up being displayed by the perpetrator of one of the worst hate crimes of a generation. So whether 4chan or 8chan's trolling racism is ironic or not, it doesn't matter. It's there. And it's inspiring and emboldening unimaginable hatred and acts of terror. It's having devastating consequences throughout the globe. And just this year, we know that 3 separate shooters, including the El Paso shooter, are believed to have posted to 8chan before committing their slaughters. And there's nothing funny or ironic about it.
Took off big time. Nowadays, this is Pepe the Frog. Looks innocent enough, right? Well, according to the Anti-Defamation League, he's a hate symbol. So how did this odd-looking cartoon join the ranks of the swastika and the burning cross? Pepe started out as a mellow, stoner roommate in the indie comic Boys Club by Matt Fury. The lovable character's goofy face made him a hit on forums like 4chan and Reddit. You've got Smug Pepe and Feels Good Man Pepe, not to mention Batman Pepe and Che Guevara Pepe. Pretty soon, Pepe started showing up all over the place. It got so big that even Nicki Minaj and Katy Perry were posting Pepe memes. The original fans did not like seeing Pepe go mainstream, so they started a campaign to reclaim him. The idea was to mix Pepe with all kinds of racist imagery. One guy even told the media they built the association with Nazis on purpose so that, quote, normies would stay away. That version of Pepe took off big time. Nowadays, you often see him decked out in Nazi uniforms or KKK hoods. Members of the alt-right use him to harass people. So how did all this get mixed up with the US election? Well, recently, both Trump's advisor and his son shared this image. The deplorables. That refers to a comment Hillary Clinton made about Trump's supporters. Now, there's no way to know if the Trump campaign was aware of Pepe's status, but the Clinton campaign was quick to respond. They posted this explainer to their site. They also pointed out that Trump himself once tweeted the image. So, what does Pepe's creator make of all of this? We talked to Matt Fury, and he's pretty upset about the whole hate symbol listings thing. He says Pepe means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
It's a really popular meme internationally. It's really popular in China and Australia and all over the world, and used to kind of encapsulate a lot of different emotions. I don't think the alt-right has the power to be able to reclaim them for their own. And I think Pepe as a meme and Pepe as kind of a symbol for youth culture and internet culture and stuff kind of transcends what's going on right now in American politics.
It's not really a surprise that the guy who live streamed himself shooting people last week in Buffalo believed some racist bullshit. But that racism was dressed up in something called the Great Replacement Theory, which is as dangerous as it is preposterous. And it's very preposterous. It's the same theory these guys were stomping around about.
Jews will not replace us!
The Great Replacement Theory is a conspiracy theory, meaning everything I'm about to say is not true. Those who believe it claim there's a sprawling, coordinated effort to get people who aren't white to, you guessed it, replace white people. There's an old and pretty well-known history of white people believing this type of thing. But the phrase Great Replacement came from a 2011 French book that argued immigrants were coming to Europe to eventually extinguish the white race. Many white supremacists in the US had already worked each other up about the idea of white genocide when this theory came along. Pretty conveniently, it gave them a way to blame Jews for orchestrating their inevitable demise. Again, very not true. But this idea has been showing up in a bunch of mass killings. In 2018, the killer at the Tree of Life synagogue in Pittsburgh had posted that Jews were to blame for bringing non-white immigrants and refugees into the US. He killed 11 people. The guy who killed a person at a synagogue in California in 2019 posted something similar. At the mosque shootings in Christchurch, New Zealand, the killer's manifesto was called the Great Replacement. And at the 2019 shooting at a Walmart in El Paso, the shooter's manifesto also referenced the theory and claimed there was a, quote, Hispanic invasion. This extremely dangerous idea is catching on in American politics. A fact that at one point might have surprised you, but now is more like, yeah, that checks out. When former Congressman Steve King tweeted about how you can't restore civilization with somebody else's babies, that's replacement theory. When current Congressman Matt Gaetz talked about an attempted cultural genocide, he even used the word replace.
There is an attempted cultural genocide going on in America right now. The left wants us to be ashamed of America so that they can replace America.
And there it was, when the House's now third-ranking Republican was talking about immigration.
No good management has come from the Biden administration when it comes to the southern border. This has been an invasion.
The current favorite version of this theory among conservatives is that non-white immigrants are moving in and Democrats are pulling the strings. President Trump and his supporters have helped spread this by saying the 2020 election was swung by a horde of undocumented immigrants who somehow managed to vote illegally. Again, not true. But now this theory that seems like it would only be in the darkest corners of the internet is very much in the mainstream. A recent poll found that about 1 in 3 Americans believe a powerful group of people is conspiring to replace them with immigrants to win elections. And that has been reinforced by heavy air quotes here, the news.
I think it's pretty clear, they're not even hiding it, that the whole point of their immigration policy is to ensure political control, replace the population, get a different outcome.
These are future voters. They want to bring in as many as possible, change the voting rules and regulations, provide amnesty, and get these people voting.
Democrats who want to replace you, the American voters, with newly amnestied citizens.
One thing people who believe this point out is that by 2045, the number of white people in the US will be less than the number of non-white people. That's true, and is something people have been talking about for decades. But there's a big difference between being outnumbered and being replaced. And what most conservatives seem to want you to believe is that this completely natural shift in demographics is a long play plot against white people. That's exactly what you can watch for as we barrel towards midterms. Politicians and pundits finding sneaky ways to squeeze in the racism of the Great Replacement theory, all the while assuring you they're not actually racist. But racism, explicit or not, always has consequences. Because what exactly did the 10 Americans who were killed shopping for groceries in Buffalo Saturday morning have to do with any of this? Nothing. Nothing at all.
Wait a minute, why is this sign on my child's shoulder? When my child had approached him, he put his hand on her as though he was just doing it regular. And as I was looking at the camera, he started to put the universal white supremacist hate sign on her shoulder.
In the second half of the 2000s, I was an edgy teenager, and as such, I had declared myself an atheist. I went online in search of atheist content, and surely enough I found it. It was the Atheist Experience on YouTube, a show where Christians can call in and have debates with real atheists. It was fun to listen to, and I felt more validated and smarter after each episode, so naturally I wanted more. And so I kept up until around the early 2010s, I should say, where all of their contents pretty much at the same time started shifting towards a certain direction. Skepticism against Christianity started fading into the background. And I mean, no wonder, the well wasn't that deep. There was a finite amount of arguments in favor of Christianity, and it wasn't the brightest people making them, so long story short, the YouTube skeptosphere had to look for new content. And guess what? They fucking found it. The new targets became feminism and progressivism, and sometimes Islam. Every single YouTube skeptic I was f***ed, and now we have to immediately course correct back towards the center. They won't see any more hot women or masculine men. They're insane. What's this? They're now harassing some kind of old Canadian college professor or something?
The brave boy who refused to give a Nazi salute in the photo that's shocking America is speaking out.
As soon as I heard the photographer
In 2012, Mountain Dew held an online contest called Dub the Dew. Their marketing team decided it was a good idea to let the internet choose the next name for their new apple-flavored drink. 4chan would soon find out about the contest, and they swiftly began brainstorming ideas. 4chan, being how they are, came up with some super controversial names, and got all of the anonymous users to vote for them. Within 24 hours of 4chan finding out, the name Hitler Did Nothing Wrong was voted to the #1 spot, followed by Gushing Granny and Fapple. Shortly after this, anonymous 4chan users were able to hack the Mountain Dew poll website, littering it with controversial ideology and rickrolls. Needless to say, Mountain Dew was forced to cancel the contest and take down the website. They later admitted in a tweet that they had lost to the internet. In 2020,
Hello and welcome to Factually. I'm Adam Conover. Thank you so much for joining me on the show again. You know, there have been a lot of clips of Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance going around, and a lot of them are pretty entertaining. My personal favorite is the one where a reporter pitches him an absolute softball question, asking why the public would want to have a beer with him. This is a complete political cliche. Politicians are asked this all the time. Vance's answer is internet and into a real room with real people who are actually laughing at some funny shit. Your brain will thank you. I will thank you. Coming up soon, I'm headed to Baltimore, Maryland, Austin, Texas, Batavia, Illinois.
They truly believe. And I've encountered this in many different communities. The alt-right
Richard Spencer himself said to me in 2016, it started as a joke and then became real, talking about people who had read up on racism and eugenics in order to be worse trolls, and in the process started to believe it. I talked to a gun rights supporter during, I don't know if you remember the beginning of the Boogaloo Boys, right?
Because yeah, I don't know. I think I am a tiny ant to him and his billions.
Those who did not face a lot of consequences have gone on.
Chat, think about it. I'm not the real streamer, you guys are. You're breathtaking. You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking. Chat, that was an effing quote from George Floyd. All right, is she on drugs or something? No, not right now. All right. Was that it?